The Nintendo 64, an iconic leap into 3D for Nintendo that created countless memories for childhoods everywhere. Whether you loved all the mega hits that became classics, or you played the games that no one talked about, one thing is certain, and that's that you did not play these games. Because they were canceled. For one reason or another, these games were planned for release but were never published for the N64. Today, I'm looking at 10 canceled N64 games with some thought into why they never reached the shelves in stores. But before we get into this list, make sure you hit that subscribe button to watch more gaming lists on this channel.
Change the system.
Death Cars. Death Cars was actually released on PC in 1998, and a port to the Nintendo 64 was planned shortly after. This futuristic racer received positive reviews and was compared to the popular series of Wipeout, although not as polished. Beam Software was the developer for this port, while Melbourne House was going to publish Death Cars. Unfortunately, the port was never finished and Death Cars was left on the PC. If you'd like to experience this 90s racer, you can still play it digitally on GOG as it was released for that platform in 2019. Dinosaur Planet. This may be the most well-known cancellation on this list, but it's well worth talking about. Some games get canceled due to funding or a poor sales outlook. Others are never ported due to technical issues, while other games evolve and become something entirely different. That's the case with Dinosaur Planet, that started in development in 1997. Developer Rare stated that Dinosaur Planet was set to be an open-world adventure featuring Timber the Tiger from Diddy Kong Racing. Timber was supposed to be a time traveler and explore a prehistoric world. From there, development changed rapidly with new characters and plot elements along the way. Meanwhile, Nintendo headquarters wanted a new Star Fox game that was different from the rail shooter gameplay that the series was known for. After much discussion, it was agreed that Dinosaur Planet would be abandoned altogether and that the work for it would go into an upcoming release on the GameCube, which was titled Star Fox Adventures and was released in 2002. Now, this next game was actually shown at a game conference in 2000 during Nintendo's Space World. Echo Delta is a water-based strategy game that had players rushing to raise a sunken ship with a submarine. The player would have to mine for energy on the ocean floor and protect the mining machines from underwater life. If the player collected enough energy, the ship would eventually be recovered and raised from the ocean. But for whatever reason, Nintendo decided to cancel the game. But in 2006, some beta prototypes of the game were sold on eBay, letting others experience a little glimpse of the game. Unfortunately, Echo Delta has been lost to the depths of the ocean floor forever. Dragon Sword. Perhaps one of the biggest letdowns on this list was the cancellation of Dragon Sword, an action role-playing game set for release on the N64 and PlayStation. Developed by Interactive Studios, it was envisioned as a Legend of Zelda type adventure before pivoting to a dungeon crawler with fantasy exploration. MGM Interactive was set to publish the game, planned as the last release for the company, but the publisher forecast poor sales and decided to scrap the release altogether. Dragon Sword was nearly finished, and it was even reviewed by the publication 64 Magazine, where it was scored a 93 out of 100. Which makes the cancellation even more hard to swallow. Dragon Sword may have been a mega hit on the N64, but unfortunately, We'll never find out. Beetle Adventure Racing 2. Beetle Adventure Racing was not a mega hit by any means on the N64. However, it did receive cult hit status and is looked on in a positive manner years after its release. The Slug Bug Racer was developed by Paradigm Entertainment, and according to rumors, there was a sequel in the works that was going to be released in late 2000 or early 2001. This rumor ignited when a former Paradigm employee named Raymond Cassidy listed on his resume that he worked on Beetle Adventure Racing 2, and details that track development was in the process before the project was shut down. Your guess is as good as mine, but the game was probably canceled due to the poor sales of the original or licensing issues with Volkswagen. Hey, we've all made mistakes at work, but maybe not as big as this mistake. It caused an entire game to be canceled. Glover 2 was set to release in 1999 on the N64 and continue right where the first game left off. Improvements were made with the hand and ball physics, better graphics, and it included a new multiplayer mode. The game was around 85% complete when a massive mistake was made that ended up destroying the project. According to a programmer that had worked on the game for Interactive Studios, who developed the game, an employee of Hasbro, who was set to publish the game, was supposed to order 150,000 cartridges for Glover 2. But instead, he accidentally doubled the order to 300,000. Retailers didn't want the extra stock, and it cost Hasbro almost $500,000. Hasbro decided to cancel the game altogether because of the massive financial loss on it before they could even get it onto shelves.
Change the system.
Quest for Camelot. We've had a lot of reasons for canceled games, but this next one is very different from the rest. Quest for Camelot was an animated film released in 1998 that absolutely bombed in theaters. There was a tie-in game released for the Game Boy Color in 1998, but there was also a version that was supposed to be released on the N64. But because the movie tanked so badly in theaters, the Nintendo 64 version was canceled due to a poor sales forecast. Now viewers, I want to know, have you seen this movie? Because I haven't even heard of it. The Game Boy Color game was an action role-playing game with over 60 levels and 9 worlds, so the N64 game would have probably followed suit along with the plot of the movie that takes place in the fantasy world of King Arthur and Camelot. Space Bunnies Must Die. Perhaps the female Duke Nukem version, Space Bunnies Must Die, was released in 1998 on the PC. There was a Nintendo 64 port planned, but the game didn't review so well. You play as Allison Huxton, a truck stop waitress and rodeo performer, as she tries to save the world from aliens who've abducted her sister. With lots of humor in the game, the IP was even pitched to Fox and Comedy Central as a TV series. But the game never took off, only selling less than 2,500 copies. Due to all the things mentioned, Space Bunnies Must Die was never seen on the N64.
This metal...
Seventh Legion. There's already been one canceled real-time strategy game on this list with Echo Delta, and now there's another. Seventh Legion was released in 1997 on the PC. Taking place on Earth in the future, with almost all of the resources depleted, players can play 2 different campaigns. The first being The Chosen. Humans who have evacuated Earth long ago and have now come back to conquer, or play as the tribes who were left behind and broken into legions. Whoever the player chooses, the game may not be very fun, as scores for the game were all over the place, but the majority of them were negative. Nintendo had planned to port 7th Legion to the N64, but most likely due to the poor reception of the game, decided against it. Carnival, Senzo's Adventure. Developed by Terraglyph Interactive Studios and set to be published by Vatical Entertainment, Carnival, Senzo's Adventure was based on a 1999 European animated movie that starred Helena Bonham Carter. In this film, 4 kids go to a carnival before discovering they must find a way out or be trapped inside of it forever. There seems to be a decent amount of this game that was created, where you play as Senzo, who must defeat 5 bosses and rescue his friends who have been turned into parts on the rides at the carnival. The film was a limited release and very few saw it, so perhaps that went into why this game was canceled as well. Either way, looks like the kids are staying trapped in the carnival forever. So that was 10 games that were canceled for the Nintendo 64. Which of these games looked the best to you, or which ones did you learn about for the first time? What other N64 games were canceled? Let me know in the comments below, and while you're there, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel for more gaming lists. Thanks for watching.